And time for my first guest tonight, and this is a book called Companions. It's more than 60 years of Doctor Who's assistants. This is written by Phillip Bates and Andy Frankham Allen. And with me is Phillip Bates. Phillip, thanks for your company today.
Oh, thank you, Wyn. Pleasure to be here.
Phillip, with over 689 pages, how long did this book take to write and compile?
Yeah, a long time. I think it was about 2.5 years to write. We've been discussing it for a bit longer than that. But yeah, on and off, about 2.5 years.
Wow, that's
I think.
Yeah, go on. You go and say.
I think it's the biggest one that Candy Jar, the publisher, has ever published. So it didn't. That wasn't the intention. Originally, it was just going to be a further 80 pages on the original, which was about 300. But instead, we added about 400.
Okay. Right then, let's look at some companions then, okay? We'll go to the very beginning. The first Doctor is William Hartnell. His assistant was Susan Foreman, who was played by Caroline Ford. She was his granddaughter, so do you count her as a companion?
That's a very difficult question. So the book begins with an essay asking what makes a companion, and Caroline Ford herself says that Susan isn't a companion. But generally speaking, fans consider her as arguably the first companion alongside Ian and Barbara. So it would have been a mad omission otherwise.
And of course, we get the first appearance of the Daleks as well, don't we, in that first adventure with Doctor Who, with William Hartnell, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the second serial. So just 5 episodes in, and we effectively met the Daleks. We met their sink plunger, at any rate, at the first cliffhanger of the Daleks. So, a monumental moment, very, very early on in the show. And a lot of people say that secured Doctor Who's future, really. Yeah. This love of monsters.
I'm afraid a lot of people behind the settee as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. The Daleks have always been a great horror mainstay, as have, the Cybermen.
Let's jump a little bit to the third Doctor. One of my favourite Doctors was John Pertwee. I always liked John Pertwee. He had Joe Grant and the Green Death. Yes, that was one of the serials, wasn't it? Yep. Joe Grant was always considered to be a bit clumsy and always making mistakes. Would you agree with that?
The Doctor called her clumsy, so it's you can't disagree with the Doctor. But she has her clumsy moments, I would say. But on the whole, she pulls it together. And yeah, Jo's a great companion. And Katie Manning, who plays her, is an absolute delight. Whenever you go to see her at conventions, she gives you a big hug, makes you feel like family. It's lovely. If you ever get to go to a convention with her, please do.
Yeah. Okay. And well, she doesn't stay very long. Obviously, she falls in love with Professor Jones, doesn't she, and goes off to get married, yes?
Yeah, in the Green Death, yeah.
To the Amazon forest, yeah.
Yeah, the giant maggots. So then she leaves and they bring in Sarah Jane Smith, who, of course, many think is the definitive companion. Yes,
one of the most well-known companions, really, isn't she? Yeah. I know one of your favourites as well, isn't she?
Yeah. It's very difficult to find favourites in companions. I approached the book with the idea that everybody's got a favourite companion, so each one is going to be someone's first companion favourite. So yes, you have to go into it with that mindset, but equally everybody loves Sarah, and she spans the generations as well. She's got her own spin-off, or arguably 2 spin-offs. So yeah, and we're following up this book with a book all about Sarah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. we're going to, and also, of course, she kind of connects Pertwee and Baker in ways, isn't she? That she's there doing the change, obviously, between the two doctors, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah. You get a few cases of the production crew wanting someone to, or multiple people, to act as an anchor. And so, yeah, she, a lot of people think that she hit her stride with the Fourth Doctor. But there's a lot of great stuff she does with the Third Doctor, who's John Pertwee. And then obviously she's in the revived series as well, with David Tennant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Matt Smith was in her spin-off as well. So yeah, it really spans the Doctors.
We're going to jump now through many, many years to Doctor number 9, who was Christopher Eccleston. And those fantastic new sets that Edward Thomas created for the return of Doctor Who. Rose Tyler is obviously the standout companion of Eccleston, and then also under Tennant as well, isn't she?
Yeah. For me, I was introduced to the show sort of officially in 2005. Obviously, I knew when I was younger about the Daleks. My family had been watching Doctor Who before then, but I fell in love with it in 2005 and then rewatched all the classic stuff. And yeah, so Rose remains very important to me. And fortunately, as well, Big Finish, who's an audio company, has just announced to celebrate unbelievably 20 years since that series. They're doing an audio series with Eccleston and Piper. So that should be great.
Wow.
Very much looking forward to that.
20 years since that. It's incredible. And she has that she has a confrontation with the Dalek, the gold Dalek, doesn't she? And tries to talk him round of all things, yes.
Yeah. There was so many good things in that first series. I really fell in love with it.
We'll move on to Tennant, as we spoke a lot about him. Because he's the 10th Doctor. Mickey Smith is one of the characters there, isn't he? And ends up fighting Cybermen in a parallel world. Tell me about Mickey.
Mickey, I think, is quite underrated as a character, because people think he just tags along because Rose is there, but I think he comes into his own pretty fast. Really, he only really joins in School Reunion in series 2, officially joins the TARDIS, and then is only in another 3 episodes before leaving. And in that time, he has quite a bit of character development, and then comes back at the end of the series as well. So I think he was played by Noel Clarke, and obviously he's controversial at the moment, understandably so. But I think you have to look at the companions as characters in themselves, as joint creations, because you've got writers, directors, producers all putting in so much work into these characters. So yeah, I think it was important to feature him in the book, and I always liked Mickey, really. I like an underdog.
We'll go on to our last Doctor. That is number 11, which is Matt Smith. I liked Matt Smith. I thought he was a bit of fresh air, really. And of course, he had a relationship with Amy Pond, who was a kind of very forceful, abrupt character in a way, wasn't she?
Yeah, I suppose so, actually. Yeah, that 11th Doctor era is sort of my era of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Matt is brilliant. I was lucky enough to meet him at the Doctor Who Experience in Cardiff. And he was such a nice guy. Really nice to interview and very giving of his time, and that means that I can look back at that era even more fondly, and I adore Amy and Rory. I think having a couple on the TARDIS is so great, so unusual, and obviously results in in River Song.
As you mentioned, Rory Williams is the relationship with Amy Pond. I do sometimes feel sorry for Rory. She's so forceful. He feels a bit put down, doesn't he, on times? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite often in his first series, you feel like he's just along for the ride because Amy is. But with Amy's choice, he actively seems to make a decision to stay there, and then dies multiple times, as you do, you know.
Absolutely, I forgot about that. Yeah, absolutely, completely, yeah. Well, that's the book. It's called Companions. It's more than 60 years of Doctor Who. It's funded by Candy Books in Cardiff. And my guest today was Phillip Bates, who wrote the book along with Andy Frankham Allen. Thanks so much for your company today. Absolutely brilliant. And I look forward to you further publications.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks very much.